exactly what's going to happen over the next hour or two, and also to make sure you know what's expected of you as well. Okay, you possibly come into the briefing with one or two questions in your mind, and if that's the case, hopefully I'll answer those questions as I go along. But if I don't seem to be answering your particular burning question, do feel free to shout out, ask as many questions as you want. I don't mind being interrupted as I go through the briefing. I'm going to talk about the format of the experience. I'll talk about the circuit, the cars, the instructors, some of the safety aspects and some of the techniques and procedures that we use out on the circuit. Okay, so first of all the format, so you know how it's going to unfold. We're in here for about 15-20 minutes, no longer than that. Once we've finished in here, we're going to head back through the clubhouse, pick up your family and friends, anybody that we've brought with you today, and then we'll congregate just outside the front door of reception. Once I'm happy that we've got everybody back together outside the reception door, we'll head up to the top end of the paddock where the cars are operating from. Once we get up there, the next thing we do is get you fitted with crash helmets. Has anybody brought their own crash helmet today? No? Okay, I might just have a check of that. What is it you're driving today, sir? Okay, yeah, no problem. Yeah, well, you can use your own if you want to. Yeah. For everybody else, we'll loan you a helmet. But the first thing you'll need is the blue helmet liner that you found on your seat as you came in. If you haven't found it, you've sat on it, but on your seat there's a blue helmet liner. And we'll ask you to pop that on your head before we fit you with a crash helmet. It's not the most attractive thing you've ever worn in your life, so do watch out for your family and friends taking pictures of you with that. Okay. Right, so crash helmets. Now, crash helmets come in all sizes, from extra small all the way through to extra large. Please make sure you get one that's a nice snug fit, not too loose, not too tight. So nice and snug is what we're after. If you're having difficulty either selecting a crash helmet or doing up the chin strap, just have a chat to one of the staff, one of the instructors, and we'll make sure we get you comfortable before you head out onto the circuit. Once you're fitted with a crash helmet, the next thing we do is take you out onto the track in our 𝕃𝕚𝕤𝕒𝕒𝕚𝕤 saloon cars. That's with an instructor driving, you as passengers. We'll take 2 or 3 of you in each car and take you around for a few laps to show you the circuit. I'm obviously going to talk you through 1 or 2 bits and pieces on the board, but it'll make a lot more sense when you see it in the flesh. Okay, and again, a chance for you to ask questions. So a few laps in the Alpha, so we call them familiarisation laps, and it is exactly that, just getting you familiar with the circuit. A few laps in the Alpha, and then we'll bring you back into the pit lane, and we'll get you into your chosen car as soon as we can. Now obviously there isn't a car for each and every one of you, so some of you will be straight out there, some of you might find yourself waiting for a short time. And if you do find yourself waiting, please make use of that time by watching what's going on, having a chat to the staff. Feel free to take as many photographs as you want. Okay, so we get you out there. You picked a nice day for it, ideal conditions. All we ever ask for is a dry track, and we've certainly got that today, so excellent day for it. Some of you are driving more than one car with us, and if that's the case, we'll get you into the next car as soon as we can. We'll keep things moving, so you shouldn't have too long to wait between drives if you're doing more than one drive with us. Once you finish your drive or your drives, please don't just pop your helmet back where you found it and disappear off home. Stay around as long as you want. Enjoy the facilities here at Three Sisters. And certainly before you leave us, make sure you come back to the clubhouse at some point. A couple of reasons. Firstly, one of my colleagues will be sat at a table there. He's got a stack of certificates, and there will be a certificate there with your name on. So please make sure you see him and collect your certificate as a souvenir of the experience. And in return, he'll ask you to fill in one of our feedback forms. And if you could give us some feedback, we would appreciate it. So thanks in advance for that. Also in the clubhouse, you may have noticed the girls at the photography desk. We do have a photographer out on the circuit taking pictures of every car that goes past him. So as long as you manage to get round for at least 1 lap, he will have taken your photograph, and those photos will be displayed on the monitors next door. So do have a look at them. No obligation to buy, of course, but they are fantastic quality. Certainly worth looking at, even if it is just to see the expression on your face. So do have a look at those. Also, you may be aware that the cars, or most of the cars, have got cameras fitted, and there is an option to have a DVD film made of your drive. Obviously, 1 or 2 of you have taken it up already. If you do fancy that DVD and you haven't taken it up as yet, just see the girls straight after this briefing. They'll sort that out for you. Don't worry about being left behind. You'll soon catch yourself. There is an example of one of them running on the screen behind me. That one's actually at Donington Park, but very similar format. You can see the cars have 2 cameras, one looking down the circuit straight ahead, and one that's aimed at the driver's face. So it does capture every smile, tear, grimace, whatever on your face as you go around. And also be aware that it does pick up sound from within the car. So if you do end up with a DVD, just be aware of that. Obviously the sound's turned off on this one at the moment, but it has caught out one or two people in the past, as you can imagine. I can vouch for everything the instructors say, but possibly not for what you guys say out there. Okay, so watch out for that if you end up there. Okay, that's basically the format of the experience. Any questions so far on that? Right, let's turn that one off so it's not distracting us. The next thing I'll talk about is a circuit, and you can see behind me a plan of the circuits here at Three Sisters. Probably looks more complicated than it actually is. We're in the briefing room here overlooking this bend. All the cars operate from this area. We've got the Astons in one pit lane, the Ferraris in another. All the other cars run off this area with the exception of the aerial Aston, which runs out of this building here. The circuit that we're on today, we enter at this point. And the circuit we're using is this basically clockwise circuit all the way around the outside. Just over a mile in length. We call it the perimeter circuit because it goes all the way around the edge. And that's the longest circuit we've got here at Three Sisters. Don't worry about all these other bits of track that come off here, there and everywhere. They're all blocked off or coned off. And it's very obvious which is the route to take. Nobody will end up taking the wrong route today. You may not even notice these bits of track as you flash past them, and certainly there's no decisions to make on the junctions, anything like that. I'll talk you through a lap of it just to give you a feel for the place, but much better to get you out there in the cars, which is why we take you out in the offers. Entering the circuit at this point, there is always somebody controlling the traffic, so again, no decision for you to make. You'll be told to stop or go, simple as that. Out onto the circuit, just be aware this first corner you come to is the tightest on the circuit. Very tight and sharp left hand. Onto this straight, sharp left takes us into this section, which looks like 1, 2, 3 separate curves, but we treat this as one big sweeping curve, and if we get that right, it builds up a good speed onto this straight. Fastest part of the circuit is here before we brake and head up the hill, steady climb to the top, and then from the top down to the bottom it's a very steep drop. Just watch out for that. Some of the cars are quite heavy and they can run away with themselves a bit as they go down the hill. So good on the brakes down that hill, then a sharp right takes us back to where we started. And this area here is where your family and friends will probably watch from. It's a covered area and it gives good opportunity to take pictures of cars going out, coming back in. Okay, if you've had a chance to have a look at the circuit before you come into the briefing room, you may have noticed at the side of the track there are some white polystyrene boards dotted around the edge of the circuit. They've got letters painted on them, and the purpose of these boards is twofold. Firstly, they show you the correct line to take, and secondly, they show you where to brake, where to turn into the corners. I'll explain how that works in a minute, but if you watch motorsport or F1, you'll be familiar with the term the racing line. The racing line is an imaginary line around any racetrack, which gives you the fastest lap, the smoothest lap, the most efficient use of your time around the circuit. And normally it takes many, many laps to identify that racing line and commit it to memory. But today, with the help of these boards, you should be able to get onto that racing line as soon as you exit the pit lane. I'll explain how it works. If we take a corner as an example, this left-hander here, for instance. As we approach this corner, our car will be on the right-hand side of the circuit. At about this point here, we come across a board at the side of the circuit. It's got the letter B on it. B stands for brake. Fairly obviously, that's where we want you to start slowing down for the corner. Now, if you're a bit nervous or you think you're travelling that fast that you need to brake before that point, then by all means do so. Brake as early as you want. Don't feel obliged to wait for the B board before you start slowing down. So brake as soon as you want. In fact, the earlier that you brake, the happier your instructor is going to be. So you brake as soon as you want. And we brake all the way from that B board to the next board that we come across. And that's about here. That's got the letter T on it. T stands for turn in. And again, obviously, where we want you to steer into the corner. Yeah. You will think that those T-boards have been put too far down the circuit, but the nature of circuit driving is that we turn into the corners quite late. So make sure you get the front of your car, the bumper of your car, all the way up to that T-board before you turn in. Nice smooth turn, we're not wrenching at the wheel or having a few stabs at it, just one smooth turn will get you around the corner. If you get that right, you'll come to the third board in the sequence. The third board is about here. The letter A on it. A stands for apex, the apex being the point at which you're closest to the curve, the real inside of the corner. Sometimes referred to as a clipping point, but that suggests that you're hitting the curves or driving over the curves. And here at Three Sisters, the curves can be quite rough, quite bumpy, so we avoid the curves. Okay, I'll just recap that, make sure we're happy with that. As we approach the corner, we brake at the B, brake, all the way up to the T. Coming off the brakes at the T, nice smooth turn in, and we'll come to the apex board. Now those three boards are then repeated around every corner, so there'll be a B at this point, a T here, and an A on the inside of the corner. So it goes all the way around the circuit. Now if you treat those boards like a giant dot-to-dot puzzle, join them up with a nice smooth line, you'll be on the racing line here at Three Sisters and getting the best opportunity out there, best experience. Yeah. Now I know you're all sat there thinking, yeah, dead easy, got that, I can drive from one board to the next, there's no skill involved in that. You will be surprised when you get out there just how far away from some of those boards you end up, so do watch out for them, especially when you go out in the alphas. You'll see the purpose they serve and how your instructor is using them. It'll all make a lot more sense when you see it in the flesh. Okay, so that's the circuit and how it's laid out. Any questions on that? Right, the cars then that we're using today, we've got quite a variety. We've got the 𝕃𝕚𝕤𝕒𝕚𝕤𝕤𝕚, the McLaren, we've got Ferraris, Astons, we've got Lamborghinis, Audi R8, bit of everything out there today. Some very exciting cars, all potentially very quick. Some of them have got 300, 400, 500 brake horsepower. If you're not used to that sort of power under your right foot, just be aware how sensitive you need to be on the accelerator. Feed the power in nice and smoothly. Come off the gas nice and smoothly. If you're a bit rough, a bit jerky with your accelerator foot, you'll get a really rough ride out there and you won't enjoy it at all. So nice and smooth is the order of the day. You'll hear the word smooth a lot today. When you get into your car, your instructor will be waiting for you. So if you've got any questions about your particular car, have a chat to your instructor and he'll help you as much as he can. Okay, now give yourself a couple of minutes to adjust the seat, get the seat belts on, understand where all the controls are. That's really obvious, but just give yourself that couple of minutes. There's no rush to get out there, so just make sure you're happy before you set off. Right, okay, now I mentioned the instructors. All our instructors are race drivers or ex-racing drivers. They are there to help you. They're there to help you. They are not there to criticise your driving. That's not what today is. In particular, we are all the best drivers in the world anyhow. Don't like anybody telling us how to drive. If that is you, please just put that to one side today, because you may pick up one or two tips and hints that help you not only on the circuit, but maybe on the road as well. So keep an open mind. If your instructor suggests that you change your technique or do something different at the next corner or on the next lap, please give it a go. You might be surprised by the results. Okay, so your instructor will look after you, but there's one thing he's looking for from you, and that's this smoothness that I mentioned. If you can be smooth on the brakes, the accelerator, the gear change, steering, if you can be smooth on all those inputs, get some nice smooth lines going on around the corners, you'll build up a good speed. Okay. As I say, if you're rough and ragged, a bit untidy with your driving, there's no way you'll be quick out there. Right, so your instructor will look after you. As well as the instructors, we've got marshals dotted around the circuit looking out for problems. If you're familiar with motorsport, you'll be familiar with the marshals and some of the flag signals you can see on the board. Don't worry too much about flag signals. If somebody waves a flag at your car, really it's a signal to the instructor rather than to you, the driver. But I will run through a few of these so that you know what's going on. There's only 3 flags in use today. The only 3 that you might see are the blue, the yellow and the red. Those are only 3 that you might see. Blue flag first of all. Blue flag is probably the most important of all of these. Blue flag is all about overtaking. Yeah? If blue flag is waved at your car, quite simply it means there's a faster car coming up behind you. You're about to be overtaken. Yeah, so at that point, we don't want to see your car weaving from side to side with your elbows out. Yeah, try and make yourself as big as possible. Just accept that there is somebody faster than you out there, as unbelievable as that might seem. Yeah. Okay, fastest car out there today is not the McLaren, it's not the Atom. It's probably the little Lotus Elise that's being driven by one of our instructors giving passenger rides, so watch out for the Lotus flashing past. If you get the blue flag waved at you, obviously your instructor will see the blue flag as well. He will put your indicator on for you and ask you to keep to the left or the right as appropriate, and the faster car will. No need to slow down nicely, certainly don't stop, keep to one side, the faster car will get through. But obviously the blue flag works in your favour as well, because if you come across a slower car, they'll be shown a blue flag, they'll indicate and keep out of your way. Now the rule we have on overtaking is very simple. If you don't remember too much from the briefing, please remember the overtaking rule. Yeah? We only overtake the car in front when it signals for us to do so. That is when it's got its indicators on. Okay? So wait for the indicator, that way you know you've been seen and that car is going to keep out of your way. If you try and overtake a car that isn't indicating, chances are you may just come together at the next corner, and that accident will be your fault, not theirs. So always wait for the indicator, and you know it's safe to overtake. Okay, so that's the blue flag. More than likely you'll see one of those at some point today. Less likely is the yellow flag. If you see a yellow flag, yellow means danger, slow down, expect the unexpected. Yeah? Listen to your instructor, he'll tell you what to do. Problem might be a car that stopped or spun on the circuit, might be a piece of debris on the track. Hopefully we don't see any yellow flags today. Less likely again is a red flag. If you see a red flag, red means we've got a problem out there that we can't deal with whilst there's cars on the circuit. And we'll ask everybody to just come back into the pits or the paddock, and we'll park you up until it's safe to resume activities. But under the yellow or the red flag situation, if your driving experience has been spoiled in some way, we will of course add another lap or so back onto your session so that you're not losing out through somebody else's mistake or misfortune. Okay, so that's the flags and the overtaking procedures. Any questions on those? Right, I've touched on the weather, definitely on your side. In the wet, some of these cars are a bit of a handful, notably the Atoms, the Ferraris, it can be a bit of a handful in the wet, but in the dry it shouldn't be an issue at all. So if the cars are sliding and spinning underneath you today, I'm afraid it's going to be down to the driver more than the weather conditions, so one less excuse for you. Okay, and finally, the last thing I want to say is that what we're doing today is a driving experience. It's not a race or a contest. We don't time you. We don't give you marks out of 100. We'll give you feedback as you go around. So if you're nice and smooth on the controls, getting the lines right, building up a good speed, you'll get some really positive feedback from your instructor. But obviously if you're scaring the pants off your instructor, he'll also give you some feedback. So if you're struggling out there in some way, just work with your instructor. He'll try and overcome any issues that you may be having. But it's very rare that we get any problems out there. I'm sure you're going to have a great time in some fantastic cars that we've got for you today. Okay, I mentioned at the beginning, you may have one or two questions. Hopefully I've answered some as I've gone along. But if not, does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask you this?
How many laps do you get to do? How many times do you
Depends what your experience is. Can I just see your sticker there? Yeah. You'll be doing, most of our experiences are sold as thrills, which is 6 miles. So it's a mile around the circuit, but we'll give you 7 laps. So you get 7 laps. Yeah. Any other questions?
Are all manual cars?
No, they're not, is the short answer. There's a very long answer I could go through every car, but what is it you're driving, sir?
The R8 and the Aston Martin.
To be fair, we've got just about every car in every style of gearbox, so some of the cars have got the stick shift, some of them have got the paddle shift.
Right.
If you haven't used paddle shift gears before, it is the easiest thing in the world, so don't panic if you jump into a car and it hasn't got a gear lever. If the gears are on levers on the steering wheel, it is really easy to drive, so don't panic if you haven't got a gear lever. And certainly if you've never driven paddle shift before, this is a good opportunity to do it. It's good fun. Yeah. Right, any other questions? Okay, if any other questions arise, obviously just get hold of anybody in a racing school uniform. If they can't help you, they'll find somebody who can. Right, if I ask you to keep hold of your blue helmet liner, please. Keep hold of that one. If you want to head back through the clubhouse,